Imagine waking up to find that the rights you believed were secure had vanished. This isn't some dystopian story, it's happening in the United States today. Women's rights are being debated, limited, and in some cases taken away entirely. How did we get here, and what does this mean for future? When I first came here as an immigrant 4 years ago, I didn't think women's rights were in danger. In a country known for freedom, equality seems clear, but as I looked closer, I saw the problems were much bigger than they seemed. And the fight for gender equality is still ongoing. Winning the rights to vote and entering the workforce in large numbers took years of struggle. But now, those hard-won rights face new threats. The end of Roe v. Wade, persistent economic inequality, and barriers in leadership are changing in the fight for gender equality. This isn't just about women, it's about creating a fair and respectful society where opportunities aren't tied to gender. In the next few minutes, we will break down myths, share facts, and explore how we can move forward together. Part 1: The Constitution and the Equal Rights Amendments. What's missing? Talking about women's rights in the United States, one of the most common questions that pops out is, does the Constitution already protect women's rights? Sadly, the answer is no. While many people believe that the US Constitution guarantees equality for everyone, it does not specifically prohibit discrimination based on gender. The 14th Amendment provides protections for equal protection under the law, but does not include gender discrimination. In different cases about women's rights, this has created some confusion. Problems including workforce, discrimination, and reproductive rights often depends on evolving legal and political priorities when there are no explicit constitutional protections, which therefore jeopardize these protections as changeable. This was clearly an issue, and the Equal Rights Amendments was created to address it. Introduced in 1923, its purpose was to ensure that equality of rights under the law should not be denied or limited by the United States or any states on account of sex. Sounds simple, something that should be obvious in a democracy. However, nearly 100 years later, the ERA is still not fully approved. Some argue that an ERA is not needed because laws such as Title VI and the Equal Pay Act already protect women's rights. These, however, are important laws that are not equivalent to constitutional guarantees. Laws can be overturned, changed, and interpreted differently in courts. For instance, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act prohibits workplace discriminations. However, its applications depends on how courts interpret it, which sometimes varies. For example, some courts have ruled that pregnancy discrimination falls under sex discrimination, while others have not, leading to inconsistent protection for women across different jurisdictions. Another common misunderstanding is that ERA will erase gender-specific protections in status such as maternity leave and pregnancy support programs. This simply isn't true. The ERA ensures equal legal rights. It does not remove necessary accommodation to address biological differences. Some believe the ERA is no longer needed because society has evolved beyond such changes. However, recent events such as overturning the Roe v. Wade show how weak programs can be without support from the Constitution. Without the ERA, gender equality is not strongly established in American law, making it open to political changes. Women do not have consistent protection from the Constitution, so they rely on different states and federal laws. In some states, with leaders who support progress, gender equality is important, but in other states, women's rights came second to political goals. This difference leads to inequality treatments, and that's affect women all over the country. There are the re-election of President Donald Trump, whose administration has often gone against progressive gender policies. shows this problem. Many of judges appointed during his presidency were conservatives. That might lead to future decisions that limits women's rights to reproductive health care and workplace protections. To gain approval, the ERA should be advocated for more strongly. Advocacy groups should teach the public why the amendment is essential and address misunderstandings about its effects. But protecting gender equality isn't just about constitutional amendments. It also requires addressing urgent and immediate issues like reproductive rights, and some issues demonstrates how vulnerable women's rights are, especially reproductive freedom. Abortion rights lost nearly 50 years of federal protections within the Supreme Court's ruling in 2022 to overturn Roe v. Wade. This decision has put millions of women in confusion legal and medical situation. Some 22 million women who can bear children now live in states that have effectively banned abortion. One of the most misleading claims surrounding the end of Roe has been the notion that it's just returned the issue to the states, allowing voters to have more control. This is true, but it does not fully address how harmful these laws are to women in the states that have enacted these bans. Currently, 14 states prohibit abortion in nearly all circumstances, significantly limiting care options. Many believe that President Trump is looking to end abortion entirely. His plan, however, is to allow state governments to decide the matter by meaning of their elected leaders. Though this manner of handling it might seem diplomatic, it leads to an important question. Why should women's choices about their bodies be determined by votes? These are very personal and complex decisions that can't be easily turned into laws or treated the same for everyone. The second misconception is that abortion is always dangerous. However, according to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, abortion is one of the safest medical procedures, with a complication rate of less than 1%. Some news stories discuss states that have preserved or expanded access to abortion, which tends to give the incorrect impression that the issue is fair. However, this overlooks major differences between states. For instance, abortion is banned in Texas, forcing women to travel long distances to access health care. The problem is worse for low-income women and those in rural areas. Research published in Journal of the American Medical Associations reported that the average travel time to clinics increased significantly after the Dobbs ruling, with some patients traveling over 100 minutes. Another part of discussion involves whether fathers should be allowed to have a say in pregnancy and abortion choices. While some people think that because the child shares the father's DNA and they share equal responsibility, fathers should have a say in such choices. Others assert that because it is a woman's body that undergoes all the physical and emotional consequences of pregnancy, she is the one who should make the final decision. This ongoing debate shows the difficult balance between the rights and responsibilities and how personal these choices are, making an already complex issue even harder. Protection of these rights should involve actions at both the federal and state levels. This includes making contraceptives more accessible, founding clinics in underserved areas, and addressing misinformation. Furthermore, reproductive health should be recognized as a fundamental human right. However, gender equality extends beyond reproductive rights and manifests in economic inequality. Economic inequality is a significant ongoing example of gender disparities in the United States. Despite some progress, women still face challenges in the workplace, including lower wages and fewer opportunities for promotions or leadership positions. One key issue remains the gender pay gap. As the 2022, women in the United States earn about 82 cents for every dollar men earned, a number that hasn't changed much in the past 20 years. Many people mistakenly believe that the gender pay gap exists because women take lower paying jobs or work fewer hours. Job choices contributes to the gap, but don't explain everything. Even within the same industry, the roles women often earn less than men. For example, female doctors earn about 25% less than male doctors. There is also a common claim that women are simply trying to gain more benefits for themselves. But why is that? Women are often seeking balance and care, particularly when it comes to their biological needs. There will always be inherent differences between biological men and women. And when it comes to needs that men do not face, such as pregnancy, women require stronger guarantees and protections. This includes benefits like paid time off, PTO, for maternity leave, ensuring their health and well-being are prioritized. Another myth is that women leave their jobs and family responsibilities. This ignores the lack of supports for working mothers, like paid family leave and affordable childcare. The pay gap is also tied to race and gender. White woman earns 82 cents for every dollar a white man earns, while black women earn only 63 cents and Latino women just 55 cents. These disparities highlights long-standing discrimination that is often overlooked in everyday conversations. The wage gap reflects deeper societal issues. Most women work in low-paying fields like caregiving and education, while fewer are found in high-paying industries such as technology and finance. Women also have fewer chances to get promoted and are more likely to be penalized for taking leave to care for family members. While the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's EEOC plays a critical role in addressing workplace discrimination, including enforcing the Equal Pay Act of 1963, systemic challenges remain. It also often difficult to prove pay discrimination cases, and many remain unresolved because of the EEOC's limited resources. More fundamentally, structural issues such as occupational segregation and conscious bias often contributes wage gap that legal framework alone cannot address. Fixing the wage gap will require systemic changes, such as stronger equal pay laws, transparent salary information, and more supports for working parents. Policies like paid family leave and affordable childcare are essential for creating fairness for all workers. This economic imbalance doesn't just reflect a wage issue, it ties directly to representation in leadership, where the gender gap becomes even more pronounced. Including women in leadership positions is important not only to achieve equal gender representation, but also ensures that diverse viewpoints are included in decisions that affect society. Leaders in politics and business play a major in shaping rules, working conditions, and social norms. Still, women remain underrepresented in these positions, seriously affecting organizational performance and equity. Many people assume that women do not want leadership roles, but research by McKinsey and Company shows that women aspire to leadership roles just as much as men do. However, women face greater challenges at every stage of their careers, from hiring to promotion to mentorship. The Women in the Workplace 2024 report shows that progressive women's representation in corporate jobs has been slow over the past decades. Women are still rarely found in the upper levels of the corporate ladder. For example, between 2015 and 2024, the percentage of women in C-suite positions grew from just 17% to 29%, reflecting significant challenges. Another misconception is that milestone events like Kamala Harris becoming the first woman vice president signal that men and women have equal access to leadership. While such achievements are historic and inspirational, they don't indicate systemic change. Mentorship programs can connect women seeking leadership roles with experienced mentors who can support them. Rules against harassment and bias training can also create safer spaces for women to lead without fear and discrimination. In general, having women in leadership positions brings many benefits. Research shows that firms with gender diverse leadership perform better. For example, boards with at least one-third female members make about 10% more profits than all male boards. Additionally, gender-balanced governments tend to create more effective policies that promotes fairness and equity. Ensuring equal opportunities for women in leadership is not just the right thing to do. It's also a smart decision that benefits organizations and society as a whole. But how do we take action to make this vision in reality? Let's look at what's being done and what still needs to happen. Women face systemic challenges today, but creating a better future with stronger action and support is possible. California is leading the charge by passing laws that uphold reproductive and healthcare rights. The state has protected abortion rights since 1969, and in November 2022, voters Proposition 1 adding abortion and contraception rights to the state constitution. This shows that when leaders champion equality, real change happens. Organizations like Lean In and Emily's List are helping women take on leadership roles, overcome obstacles in politics and business, and change the space where decisions are made. These actions aren't just wins for individual women. They are steps toward a society where everyone benefits from equality, but progress won't continue on its own. The fight for gender equality needs immediate board attention. Passing the Equal Rights Amendments would be a major step towards making equality part of the Constitution, providing a legal foundation to enforcing women's rights for years to come. Meanwhile, reproductive health care must remain a priority to ensure every woman has access to contraceptions, abortion, and maternal care, services that are fundamental human rights. Supporting women in leadership will ensure new perspectives shapes our future. When women lead, whole communities thrive. While competency is an important factor when it comes to jobs, the real issue goes deeper. The only way forward is to work together, learn, and take action. The progress we see today proves that change is possible, but the fight is far from over. Together, we can build a world where equality isn't just a dream, but a reality. Learn about the issues, speak up for change, and most importantly, support leaders who truly believe in equality and create a future where everyone has opportunity to succeed. I hope today's video helps you better understand the real issues of women's rights facing the United States today. We love to hear your thoughts. What do you think are the biggest challenges to achieving gender equality today? Share your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and join us for more discussions. See you next time.